Aloha and welcome to Connection to the Cosmos with your host, me, Dr. Lisa Thompson, where I have out of this world conversations with extraordinary people. Today, I'm really excited to have on Nicki Hu, and we're going to bring her on in just a moment. But first, a couple of announcements. If you have not had the chance to grab my free 20-minute meditative journey to meet your galactic family and guides, make sure you do that on my website, mysticmanta.com or drlisajthompson.com. Also, for anyone out there that is already an established healer or regression therapist, hypnotherapist, anything of that, you might want to check out my Galactic Ascension Channel certification program that I'm teaching, which is a unique modality that I have created for deep healing. And that's going to be September 21st and 22nd. And I'm also leading my Galactic Retreat here in Hawaii on the Big Island, October 2nd through the 6th. And all that information about the certification program and retreat is also on my website, mysticmanta.com and drlisajthompson.com. And if you're coming here to Hawaii, specifically to the Big Island, then come on one of my Big Island UFO tours, where you will see the night sky in a whole new way using the Advanced Generation 3 Military Night Vision Goggles. And you can find information about that at bigislandUFOtours.com. So without further ado, I'm bringing on Nicki. Hello, Nicki.
Hi.
So good to have you here. So you and I first met because you were hosting a spiritual summit that you invited me to be a part of. And so I'm happy to now host you on my show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. So let me share your bio with the audience. And, we got to talk all about me last time. Now we get to talk about you. So Nicki Hu is a multidimensional healer and channel of the Seraphim Angels. She supports conscious leaders, star seeds, and light workers who are on their path of purpose to heal, expand, and reach their full potential. She is a master of energetics and helps people expand their consciousness through her online summits, workshops, and classes. Okay, so, until I got your bio, I didn't know like that you were a channeler, that you did this amazing healing. And so I would love to know, like, how did you grow up? Spiritual, religious, something else, so that we can understand like how you got on this path of doing your work.
Oh, yeah. So I was born to immigrants, like Chinese immigrants. And so I'm the first generation Chinese American in my family. And even though my parents did have their own religion back home, which is like Buddhism, they never really practiced it around me, or I never really partook in any of the religious activities that they would do like during the New Year's. So I would say I didn't grow up with a religion at all.
Well, that's interesting because obviously, there are some really beautiful principles of Buddhism. And so then, like, did you always start out as a healer, or did you go a different path in your career first and take a turn? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was 2 years into my first corporate job, and one day it just, like I said, this can't be all there is to life, right? Like I was making $15 an hour, taking calls for a cruise company and having guests scream at me all day because I was like in resolutions, and I said, I can't be in customer service for the rest of my life. So I decided that I was going to quit, and so I did. And my entrepreneurial journey eventually led me to meeting my first teacher slash healer slash business coach, because she did a whole bunch of stuff. She did like branding, and she was a psychic, and she was a healer. And at the time she had a healing course, and I was really struggling in my business. I was doing it for 3 years. I kept taking classes. I didn't know why I wasn't succeeding in my business. Until I met her, and she said, well, you have all of the blocks that you're experiencing. Those are your ancestral blocks, like the fear and the anxiety you have around being seen and being heard. That's not from you. Like 90% of the problems you're experiencing isn't from you, it's from your ancestors. And of course, it went through one ear and out the other, because I just wasn't ready to hear it, right? I didn't know much about spirituality, until I gave up. I said I was done fighting. Like, I was done going against the resistance. Even at the time after I paid her for her healing program, I decided to go get a normal job. That's how scary it was to me. I said, I'm just not going to do this anymore. I'm going to go get a normal job, keep my money. I'll come back to you for for some healing later on. I did my normal job for a month, and I said, no. After that, after I taste the freedom of trying to make my way through the world, I said, no, this can't. I have to go back, right? This is not me. So I went back and I took the course. And I took the course, and that was like the blossoming of my business, because I was always meant to be a healer. That's why my business never took off. So there you go.
Well, so when you started your business as an entrepreneur, then what was it a healing business, or what were you doing as a business owner before then you took that healing course?
Oh, I did a bunch of things. I started my own fitness apparel company that lasted only about 9 months. And then I did some real estate classes, and then COVID hit, so nobody was going out looking at homes. And then that led me to do like an online marketing course. And through the marketing course, I met somebody who introduced me to my first meditation teacher, who then introduced me to the business program that I was going to take, that was going to change my entire life. It taught me about running virtual events. And through the virtual events, that's how I started meeting people who were more in the space I wanted to be in. Because where I came from, everybody was happy with their 9 to 5. Nobody wanted to leave. Nobody wanted to expand. And I said, that's not me. I want to be surrounded by entrepreneurs. I want to be surrounded by ambitious people. That was really me that time. And so I started meeting these people. And even though I didn't know, quote unquote, what I wanted to do in my business, the course was geared to coaches. So I said, let me just brand myself as a life coach or a women's empowerment coach. And that's really where I started, just saying, oh yeah, I'm a life coach, I'm a women's empowerment coach, and I run these events.
Okay. Well, so then in the healing course, so is that where your healing abilities that I'm sure are innate in you, right? Is that where this came out? Because now, like you said, you're a multidimensional healer. So share a little bit more about that journey and how that unfolding happened for you.
Yes. So in my healing, I really didn't understand how healing worked. Even after I took the course, it taught me about like 13 different healing modalities. And I did not understand how to use my healing abilities. I just knew I sit here, I close my eyes, I channel energy, and people receive the healing. And that's all I knew at the time. After I completed the course, my mentor, she's a psychic, she said, I'm retiring being a psychic. So if you want a reading, now's your time to book one. I booked a reading, and she said, you're going to continue on to work with another healer after me. I was 8 months pregnant at the time, or I was very close to being due. And I said, when am I going to have the time to take care of my baby and take this course? And right. I was doing a summit. So it was like a whole lot of things, right? But I knew that I had to say yes, because that was my path. So I took the course, and the next healer I worked with, it was about dream interpretation and using your dreams to understand your childhood trauma, which impacts you as your masculine and feminine energy and how you show up. And it tells you about your purpose in life. And of course, out of everything, I just heard, your dreams will tell you about your purpose. Fantastic, I'm going to take the course. So I took the course, and one of the things that came through the dream was, I'm a hands-on healer, I'm a distance healer, I'm also a channel. And that was repeated over and over. I'm a channel, I'm a channel, I'm a channel. So then the only thing I did, logical thing I did after that was take his channeling course, because he had a channeling course after that. And at the time, I began running my second summit that year.
Okay.
And I had met somebody who I disqualified from being, or like I didn't feel like he was a good fit for my summit because I was looking for certain qualifications. And he said, well, that's okay. I would love to offer you a free healing. And I said, that is so nice of you. I would love to invite you to my summit just from your personality and the way that you are. And I would love to offer you a free healing. And he said, well, fantastic. Well, I would love to offer you 2 free healings. So we did the healings, and he ended up telling me that my origin was from the Seraphim Angels. I knew nothing about the angels at the time. I didn't even know anything beyond I'm a human being who can channel some energy. And you're very special. Um, you, you are a Seraphim Angel reincarnated. That's what he was telling me.
Mhm.
And so he stayed in my life for a while, and I just kept going. And one of my friends, she's a multidimensional channel. She can channel multiple beings. I went through her healing course, and she started activating, and the Seraphim Angels started to come through in the healings. And I started to notice that as they're showing up in her healings, I'm starting to see them in my visions. So now I'm starting to see like guides and angels and ancestors, and I'm starting to see more and more things.
Okay. Well, so for people who might not know who the Seraphim Angels are, who are they? Because, we like some, the audience, they probably are familiar with some of the archangels and maybe their guardian angel and things like that. So who are the seraphims specifically?
In the Bible, the seraphim are kind of portrayed as these angels with like 6 wings, but from my knowledge and understanding, the seraphim are really the one of the highest orders of angels that serve God. Like their whole purpose is to serve God. So I'm understanding that my mission here is really to serve the will of God, to help heal and to help bring that kind of light through. And above me would be the Elohim. So the second tier would have been the Seraphim Angels. And that's really what we do. We're just here to serve God's purpose and spread his light.
Okay. So when this energy started being channeled through you, I know, so I channel some different higher dimensional galactic races, and the energy can be very strong, and take a lot of energy. So how does how does it affect you running it through your body?
I would say I don't feel much of a difference. I think what I learned from taking my dream course was that as channels, like some of us are equipped, like some of our bodies are already equipped to handle the energy that runs through. And therefore, it's important to know whether or not you are meant to be a healer. Because some people, your divine gift is not meant to be a healer. Maybe you were meant to be a psychic. You're meant to pass on readings, but you're not meant to heal people. You're not meant to channel those energies. And he had shared that like a friend of his, she was so insistent she wanted to be a healer. And so she was channeling these healings. Of course, anybody can learn, right?
Mhm.
She was channeling these healings, and she was using her own energy to heal people, and that was making her sick. So, long story short, for me, I didn't feel much of a difference. I think it was integrated very well, and that I had the capacity to hold that energy.
Okay. No, that makes sense. And so similar for me, like when I'm channeling the healing energy from whether it's the Arcturian realm, Syrians, or the Mantis, it just will naturally flow through me. It's more when I'm vocal channeling, that's when I notice the difference actually in how the energy comes through. And so for you with channeling the angels, the Seraphim Angels, is it just their healing energy, or is it also vocal channeling as well?
Yes, I actually recently got activated for angelic light language. So what they were doing in like I received a healing, and they were attuning me to the angelic frequencies and everything. So now I'm starting to notice it naturally wants to come out. I did a healing just yesterday, I think. That was my first healing after I got attuned to light language, and it just wanted to come out, and I started speaking light language. I was like, whoa, where did that come from?
Well, and so Was it something that you were a little hesitant to do, or it was so strong that it wanted to come out of you, you didn't even think about it?
I would say like I do have self-conscious, like I'm a little self-conscious because I don't understand what they're trying to say. So surrendering and letting myself essentially almost like trans channel the voices that come out.
Mhm.
It takes a little bit of work. I'll notice sometimes, like in my brain, they'll want to raise the frequency higher and they want to start to say different things that I feel like, ooh, like in the English language, it sounds a little weird, right? It'll be like little sounds like ting, 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 or something like that, right? And I'll be like, oh no, I don't want to say that. But then I have to allow myself to be like, well, this is their language. Like just allow yourself to let it come through. So it's a little tug and pull here, like surrender, just surrender.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, yes, my own journey of learning to channel or allowing it to come through was very interesting because I actually grew up in a school that was channeled. And, back in the 80s and 90s, it was kind of weird to be part of something like it was amazing information, but to have the information being taught through channeled material. For me, I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to channel. And it was just so separate, right? And it wasn't until just a few years ago that then I got to experience other channelers and the way that they were doing it. And I was like, oh, okay, it's not as like weird or kind of scary as I thought. And so, yeah, so I think more and more people are becoming open to channeling. And then, but also everyone channels all the time, right? Whenever we're in any kind of creative state, whether we're writing or doing art or music or dance, anything like that is actually we're channeling. So I'm, yeah. So I love that you are open. Like you were never exposed to it. I was exposed to it like my whole childhood. And now here you are channeling. So how how has this impacted your family? Like are they supportive?
I would say most of my family don't know what I do. um, the only people that really do know are like my sisters, my husband. I think my in-laws know just because they're living with us. And I didn't know that even in I think they practice Buddhism. Even in Buddhism, when they go during the New Year's, they'll have somebody that channels, and they'll have somebody at the temple that brings through information. So my husband's telling me this just recently, by the way, because I recently really came out of the spiritual closet. I was really just practicing behind the scenes and
Okay.
not announcing to the world that I was a healer and a channel and all of that. And now I'm starting to see my external environments just reflecting back to me. Oh, this is normal now, right? Like all of a sudden, I find out his family has always known about channeling and they believe in spirits and stuff. And I was like, really? Wow. Okay.
Well, that's great that you are able to have that support. And yeah, especially as you blossom more and more, because before we got on you were sharing that even just a couple days before we're recording this, that you you open yourself up to channel Arcturians, right? Yeah,
Yes.
so tell me about that. That's one of my groups. I love the Arcturians.
I would say it's such a different experience because in that one session, I channeled four different types and it was trans channeling. So I allowed them to come through and use my voice. So I channeled like two of my uh, it was my friend that I was doing it for. So my friend's ancestors came through,
Hmm.
and then we switched, and then the Octurians came through, and I noticed that for them they were more authoritative because the seraphim came through too, and I noticed the seraphim were very soft, like their gentle energy. They would say like, "Dear one, we are here," right? And then the Octurians came through, and they actually didn't channel messages for my friend. What they did was they they held space for her to ask questions. So it was different, but I would notice that each being that came through, it was a different energy, it was a different personality.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
so okay, so if they were holding space for her to ask questions, so then who would be answering her questions?
The Octarians were. They
Okay.
came through and they basically said, ask your
Oh,
questions. We're here to answer them. Yeah.
okay. Okay, got it. And so again, just because you're kind of new to this, and I am too. Like I've only been channeling for a couple of years, and so I with feeling those different energies, did you specifically ask for them to come in, or did whoever just show up?
I had allowed them to come in, so it was kind of like a dual. We were practicing. So my friend, she's already a trance channel, and her guides were guiding me into trance channel. So they would say her ancestor is here, and this is an opportunity if you want to
Mm,
trance channel them. And I would say, I allow you to come through me and speak through me. And so we practiced with her two ancestors, and then all of a sudden the Arcturians naturally jumped in, or the Seraphim came in through first
mhm.
to channel a message for her, and then the Arcturians came through. But I noticed I do see, like, my guides sometimes show me things through visuals, so I'll be able to see and sense that the Arcturian energy definitely very different, because what I see is galactic, like, right, galaxies, stars, like their energy is purple and blue and sparkly. And then the angels, their energy is pure, like golden white light. And it feels very light, and it feels very different, and it looks very different. So I know which one's coming through because I sense their energy that way.
Yeah, beautiful. So, with the healings that you do, what have been some examples of the kinds of healings that people come to you for, and what the results were from that?
I would say, because I'm very new to more like multidimensional things, my marketing was always like, heal your emotional wounds, right? Heal your relational wounds. Because I started as a relationship coach.
Okay.
So, what I noticed was that the people that were coming to me for healings ended up being star seeds. They had no idea they were star seeds, or that they were of angelic background, and they had no idea they were of angelic background. So I think my energy naturally draws those types of people to me because I have similar energy.
Mhm.
And in my healings, we would do so many different things. Sometimes we would do childhood, we would do the inner child healing. Sometimes it would go to past life or ancestors or clearing out contracts. And now, recently, I'll see that the angels and the dragons and the galactics would come through, and they would actually start doing activations, which is like bringing their frequency higher and higher, or they would bring through their soul essence. So I remember doing my first one was actually practice on a speaker. She said, I know, she said, I know I can hone into my intuition, but, and sometimes I'll get visions, but they're not consistent. And knowing me, I said, well, you probably need a healing. I said, you probably need a healing. You probably have a witch wound or a persecution wound, or your past life you were afraid and you psychically blocked yourself. So I said, let me do one for you. And I did, and it just naturally came through of what needed to happen, which was like her galactic team came through. We even did a whole witch ceremony, because in a past life she had ancestors that were witches and stuff. So she got all her magic powers that day. Uh, and then afterwards, she told me, "Oh my God! Like, now I can hear my guides all the time, and I wasn't able to before." So yeah.
Beautiful. Well, and I mean, I love your own journey of how you've been opening up, and now being able, where you didn't know anything about any of this stuff, for most of your life. And now here you are seeing the guides and hearing them and channeling them. And so I just, I love that you have been allowing yourself to really go into your purpose.
Well, thank you. I would say just today, I actually had a total like I was crying like an hour before this call. Because I'm moving into this next phase, and it was really hard for me to integrate the shift in identity between moving from traditional coaching into being a healer and really recognizing myself as a healer. And I did that transition. And because the activations are happening so fast for me, I'm working with multiple different healers, that I'm starting to realize like my path isn't just this, like it's moving and it's constantly moving. So how do I identify myself? And so the next step was that I'm going to run this other summit, and it's all about like ascension, right? Which is a whole new area that I've never tapped into before, but it came to me in a vision that I needed to do it. And I was just sitting down and I felt so much resistance, and my guides came through and said, give yourself grace. You'll figure it out. Like you already know. You already know, just give yourself grace. And as soon as they said that, I'm here eating my pizza and my chicken wings. And all of a sudden I close my eyes and I see my inner child, and she's scared. And my adult self goes and hugs her. And my adult self pushes her towards my galactic team. My whole team was there. And I said, go ahead, go with them. So they took her by the hand and they flew her all around, and they flew her to my highest timeline. And they were showing her all of the things that I would be doing, right? Healing on stage and having my own ascension school and all of these things. And they said, wouldn't you want that? Do you want that? She was like, yes, yes, I do. And I just bursted out crying. And I couldn't stop crying. And I think it was because, you know, there's a lot of stuff in childhood that I have processed, and some of the things that I haven't processed, which is the encouragement. I finally gave myself the encouragement that I didn't receive in childhood. And I just, oh my God, I was just sobbing. Like, I'm like, get it together. I have to be on this interview.
Well, I thank you for sharing that, because I think, you know, people hearing or you know, listening to the journey of, you know, we all have these windy paths that we go on, right? And we're human, so we have traumas, we've got wounds from childhood and stories we've made up and all of these things. And so I think it's really important for people to share, you know, we're not perfect, we don't know everything that we're doing all the time. And I love that your guides are like, you know, just trust us, because the similar thing happened to me last year when my Arcturians were like, okay, you know, you're working with us, but now it's time to bring forth more groups. And I did not know what that was going to look like. And they're like, don't worry, it will come. Just trust, relax into it. And I did. And it was an amazing journey. So you know, when we have that support and we do trust it, we trust ourselves, then we don't have to know every step of the way ahead of time, because those steps will unfold.
So my question to you, because I guess I have a bad habit of doing this, is as soon as I receive information, I'm like, okay, like that's my next step. And I try to immediately switch over. So when that happened to you, do you just stay present and you say, I keep doing what it is that I'm doing and I just wait for the next step? Or like, do you do other things to kind of advance the process and prepare yourself for what's coming next?
That's a really good question. So so one of my modalities is human design, and I am a sacral generator, which I don't know if you know human design at all, but
Yes, I do.
okay. Manifesting generators, we are meant to wait to respond to something coming our way, right? And like initially 7 years ago, or actually, no, it was 9 years ago, I had a scientific hand analysis done where it was told to me, you are really meant to be a spiritual teacher and a healer. And at the time, I had an interior design business, and I was like, what? But my body, head to toe chills. So because I knew about my design, I knew I couldn't force something to happen. I would have to just wait for something to come. And so it took 2 years before that thing came, the opportunity. But then I got exposed to past life regression therapy with Denise Lynn. And immediately my gut was like, yes, we're doing that. And I was scared. Because I'm like, what? What? But I took the step. I went and got trained with her the following month, and that's when I came out of the spiritual closet in my normal mainstream world. And so, but by doing that, then I would allow these opportunities to come. And if my gut said yes, then I would take this step, right? So I've learned not to just force things to happen. And so when the Arcturians, I had already written my book, Connection to the Cosmos, and I had started channeling them vocally. And they're like, okay, now it's time. You really are this galactic ambassador. It's time to step forth and really like bring all of these other energies in. And so I just wrote down 13 names of different galactic races. And, I didn't think about it. I just wrote them down. And then what I did was I set up basically 13 different weeks where each week was a different group that I was bringing forth. And they didn't tell me what they were going to be teaching exactly. They gave me a few themes for each group for that specific week, but then I just had to let it happen. And normally I'm a planner. I like being organized. I like knowing exactly what I'm doing. But so they gave me the steps that I needed, but they also gave me the ability to, again, relax into it, to trust that it was all going to be a beautiful thing. And each week was, again, very different in terms of what came through and the journeys that they wanted to take the people on that were experiencing this. And so, now I just keep being open. Okay, like whatever is next will show up in perfect timing. And so I don't force things anymore like I used to. But if I get a yes, I do know, okay, take that step.
That's really good information. I've been practicing human design for a while too, and it's still a work in progress because I get really excited about stuff and then I can't tell if it's my excitement or if it's a yes from the gut.
With your human design, what are you? What's your type and your inner authority?
It's a emotional solar plexus manifesting generator.
Okay. So your yeses, yeah, you definitely have to give yourself a little time for your roller coaster to come more to that neutral point. And then it's clarity over time. But yeah, what the beautiful thing about you as a manifesting generator compared to me as a generator is that once I'm on a track, I don't have the natural ability to get myself off that track until it's done or like something stops me, where you get to beta test. You get to start going down a track and do I want to be here? Do I want to be here? And if you get like, no, I don't. Well, you have a natural ability to get off that track and to do something different.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
So
I guess part of the deconditioning part, right, is understanding when I'm operating out of fear. Because I did hop off I was in a program and I was like, nope, this is not me. This is not me. I'm done. I got what I needed, and I hopped right off. And then I got channeled yesterday that I was like, nope, you got to get back on. And I'm like, darn it.
well, that's very interesting because fear can definitely keep people on a track, but it can take them off a track as well, even if it's the place they're meant to be. And so, yeah, I've had to work through moving through my fears, my entire life, and I'm getting better and better at it. I'm not going to say I'm perfect because, again, I'm human. But yeah, don't let fear, and this is for you, but the audience, like, don't let something that you know that you're meant to do, if you have fear around it, don't let that fear stop you from doing it, because we make up so many excuses as to why we can't do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was so funny that, you know, like as a healer, it's natural to just say, like, give yourself grace, give yourself compassion, right? And then learning to practice that myself. So today, when the angel said, give yourself grace, I was just like, I forgot what grace meant. So I went on Google and I typed up what, like, give yourself grace. And it came back with the definition of like, just be kind to yourself. It's okay to make mistakes, learn from them, and move forward. And I was like, oh my God, right? We can be so hard on ourselves sometimes. Um, and when I'm over here, like the ego wants to protect the image, the self image that I'm projecting outward, when inside my inner child is really shaking in her boots and she's like terrified and doesn't want to go forward. Like that's, and learning how to work through that and learning how to go back and self-regulate and then learning how to move forward after the self-regulation. And being okay with making mistakes, because I feel like I came from a background where perfectionism and like criticism was always given when something wasn't done right. So learning to let go of that and be like, you are divine as you are. And at the same time, you are human. So let yourself go through the process. And then learning about being a manifesting generator of, yeah, you're going to jump to like step 100 and then go backwards and then go here and go there and go everywhere, and to be okay with that.
Right. Exactly. Well, and I mean, what a beautiful thing, because we're meant to explore, to evolve, to expand, follow our passions. And so, to the manifesting generators out there, you guys get to like really explore whatever you want without getting trapped. Well, and okay, and I love that you brought up earlier the Ascension Summit that you're going to be doing, because so the summit that I was on with you, that was a relationship one, correct?
It was a relationship one, yes.
Yes. And so now you're switching gears to this Ascension one, and you have invited me to be on that, which I have accepted. And so tell people more. I know you got the download, but tell people more about like what they can expect from that and when it's coming out.
Yeah, so currently it is set to launch on August 15th. And what I saw in the vision was bringing forward a lot of luminaries and spiritual teachers in the space to help really ground and teach about the ascension, how you can move through the ascension, and what it's going to look like when we move into the new worlds. But it's more practical, more, I wouldn't say more practical, but where I'm at and what I saw, it was really about bringing forward this new energy and helping people move through it, especially through this crucial time where the solar flares are coming up and we're really processing a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a great group of speakers, I'm sure, because your last summit and all the things that you do are just incredible. So how do you like to work with people? What it like if someone's like, oh my gosh, I need to work with Nicki. Like, do you work with people just in person or remotely? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so currently I do one-on-one private healing, and I do it by the package. So I'll have 12 session packages, and every month, sometimes I'll have different themes. So I'll have the emotional healing part, and then I'm still expanding my repertoire. I would love to infuse more of like spiritual guidance instead of just healing, so spiritual guidance. But if they're interested, if you guys are interested in working with me, it is private one-on-one sessions currently.
Okay, and you can do that remotely, yeah?
Yes, it is remote.
Okay. And how do people find you? What's your website, and what socials are you on?
I am on Instagram, and my Instagram tag is just Nicki.hu, Nicki.hu. And then my website is pillaroflightactivations.com.
Beautiful. And any final words that you would love to share with the audience?
Ooh, can I channel this one? I would love to bring through a
Yeah,
message.
please.
Dear one, just know that if you are here on this path, you are exactly where you need to be. You are doing an amazing job, and we highly, highly encourage you to continue on this path. We are here to support you, and you are supported by the divine with such unconditional love. With that said, we bid you farewell.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And yeah, I appreciate you being here with me today, Nicki. And for those of you watching or listening, thank you for your time. And I'll see you next time on Connection to the Cosmos. Aloha.
Bye.